When I was a kid, I loved Transformers. It was a 30-minute cartoon toy commercial, but I was obsessed with it, right? I was obsessed with these vehicles that could transform into robots. So when my parents finally bought them for me, I would just spend hours just transforming them to and from. I wasn't actually playing with them. I was like, this is amazing. It was some kind of magic, wizardry of how this worked. And so, as a child with a lot of curiosity and no frame of reference of what things cost and a little bit of reckless abandonment, I started taking them apart to understand how they worked. And I think that this is a trait that is carried on through my entire life at this point, right? I am obsessed with understanding how things work. It can't just be magic, right? It can't just be something that's unexplainable. Also, taking risks that I can break things and not put them back together, and make my parents very mad at that as well. So when it came to the topic of digital transformation and AI, there's this theory out there that it's just magic, right? That there's something that you can't explain behind it. And what I want to do is take some time to break down what digital transformation and the application of AI and technology really means to an organization and demystify that a bit. So when I was asked to do the Plunet Summit for the 4th time, I gotta admit, like a little bit of panic set in because it's like, what can I do to top what I did last time? And last time I was on stage, I had a presentation that had 10 different endings, and I had the audience help pick the ending. So I'm thinking, like, the only thing that I can do is some magic, right? I have to do some magic to keep these people entertained. That's the only thing I can do. And I was like, really, Dan, are you gonna stoop to parlor tricks and try to entertain with magic? And I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. All right. I'm gonna talk about the magic of AI, right? The wand that you can wave, the magical AI wand that's gonna solve all of your problems. Doesn't exist, right? There's a lot of work. There's a lot of hard work that goes into digital transformation, and it's not magic. So let's walk through what it's actually going to take for you to help your organization navigate through what I consider the most pivoting, defining moment of our industry right now. So I put this chart together, and I almost said I should probably flip-flop it, right? Because ultimately, before you start your journey into digital transformation, you have to understand your key drivers. Why are you trying to change your organization? And the other thing to understand is digital transformation isn't just taking a piece of technology and having it sit alongside your current processes. It's a fundamental organizational shift where it includes every stakeholder in your organization. It doesn't just fall on the IT folks, it doesn't just fall on the ops folks. It is an organizational shift. It's transforming your company using technology with these key drivers. As technology advances with AI, you need to look at your organization's context, what your purpose is, and how you've been doing things with the new available technology. You have to understand the changing customer expectations, because as technology gets better and better, what do the customers expect you to do with this technology? We all know it. Pricing, competitive pricing. Well, AI is going to change and solve all of these things, so we're going to expect less pricing from you. Operational efficiency, that could be a key driver. You're just looking at it to, hey, we can be leaner. We know that there's inefficiencies in our organization, and we know that technology can aid us in getting there. And of course, there's regulatory compliance. There's oftentimes that you need to apply new technology. You think in the life sciences space, there's requirements for document management and validation of software. You need to put technologies in place because of regulatory compliance. Now, these are the activities that we typically do. We adopt a new technology. we're trying to improve this customer experience, optimize our business processes, and we're fostering a culture of innovation. And these are the key components of digital transformation. Again, if it's just taking a piece of technology or random pieces of technology and trying to put them together and say, solved the problem, that's not going to work. You have to have a technology strategy, right? You have to look at the entire ecosystem of your organization and how these pieces are going to fit together and really define what you're trying to solve. You have to have the question to answer, right? You have to understand what you're actually trying to solve and then put the technology in place to help aid in that. So digital transformation, not just about adopting new technologies, comprehensive process, yada, 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 you can see. Anyway, challenges to digital transformation. It's going to mirror a little bit that was just said, but I'll dive a little bit deeper into the resistance to change and the understanding of that. Where does the resistance of change come from? Fear. And what is that fear? It's not just the fear of the unknown. It's the fear of loss. This change will make me lose something. And so you, as someone who's trying to implement change management within your organization, you need to be empathetic and you have to understand what that loss is that these people are feeling with this change and address it head on. You can't hide from it. That's what we just heard in the last presentation as well. You have to be able to have open communication and understand where this is coming from. The lack of digital skills, to me, I was looking at the panel before, and I'm thinking, as I wanted to scream out, but I'm civil. This, to me, is absolutely the most important, critical thing that we need to be doing right now, is addressing the upskilling of everyone when it comes to the technology. And I think of GE, and I know we don't have the budgets of GE, I get it, but they were so hell-bent on this digital transformation. They spent so much money on training and educating their employees and making sure that they were comfortable with the technology and really focusing in on developing that mindset, those skills to be able to handle the digital transformation. We all need to be doing that with our teams. Everyone needs to step up, right? Data security concerns, of course, as new technologies emerge, there's new open ports, there's new credentials that need to be saved, there's just more surface area for data security. Where's my data going? I know you Europeans are very sensitive about that. In the United States, we're a little, but where's my data stored? Where is it being saved, right? Legacy systems, and you see a little smiley face on that, is a lot of our end customers have these legacy systems. Often they built them in-house, often it's built off of some technology that was probably the same time that Transformers came out, and you have to understand that legacy systems can hold you back, and how do you work around those? Probably the top one in this room is my guess, resource constraints, right? You may have someone in your organization that's able to do this, and they probably have a pile of work like this high, right? Or you may not. And it's going to be part of the process is addressing resource constraints. So how do we do that? How do we address all these challenges? There's got to be a way forward. And I'll tell you, it's not easy, but it doesn't matter if you're a small organization or the GEs of the world that have all the resources that they can do. It's doable. Technology is at the heart of digital transformation. It's, basically in the name, digital transformation. So looking at the changing landscape of technology and all of the things that are going on, and the focus is on AI and machine learning. That's, because it's sexy and everyone loves it, but it's just a piece of the puzzle, right? I'm talking about, cloud computing. Now, at my former job, back in the day, I had a stack of PCs at my desk that everyone around the world would tunnel into via VPN, and if there was any problem, I'd have to put a monitor up to that computer, and I'd have to restart it, and blah, 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 so they can get back online and say, hey, your VPN's back up, right? How would have that fared during the pandemic? I couldn't even go into the office at that time. I wasn't going to be able to reset a bunch of computers. Cloud computing really allowed us to become remote, work from anywhere in the world together, which is really critical to this industry, by the way, is being able to have resources around the world that can do things. Internet of Things, having access to data in real time and being able to see this and make decisions and determinations in real time. It's like, oh, well, this server's down, we got to do something about it. Big data analytics, of course, that plays a role in machine learning and AI, but it's more along the lines of the collecting of data, proper annotation of data, the proper uses of data. We talked about some of that earlier today as well. And of course, cybersecurity, as I mentioned before. Now, that's just one element of it. If we look at my little, I call this almost a semi-turtle chart for those of you that are into ISO or Six Sigma. This is kind of a semi-turtle chart here, where you're looking at the key elements around the middle of the process here. You have what you can do with technology, process automation. You want to be agile. You're got to be able to adapt to customer requests and understand that, hey, we might need to pivot because there's something new that we need to consider. Ultimately, being customer-centric is the key, right? Understanding your customers' needs and putting that in the context of your organization. Nordstrom, if you're familiar with it, a big retail store, and when they went through this process, they said, hey, we want to be customer-centric. That's our ethos. That's our goal. That's our mission, is to make sure that the customer comes first. So their digital transformation was centered around, how do we improve that customer experience? One of it was, if I go to a website and I see that there's 4 things in stock at this local store, by the time I get there, there should be 4. Or as I'm driving, it should get updated to 3, making sure that that customer experience, whether you're on their website or in the store, matched and enhanced that. People and culture. Ultimately, this all starts with leadership and vision. It has to start from the top. In fact, any person at the top of an organization that is preaching digital transformation and is not using the tools themselves is doing them company and themselves a whole disservice here. You have to jump in. You have to be part of the fray with your employees. If you're saying we're changing the organization, then you have to change with it. Employee engagement. This is critical. Get employees involved early. Get their feedback. Get that feedback loop. Make sure that they are involved in this process as early as possible. Training development, mentioned that. And creating a culture of innovation where you're creating a safe space. You say, hey, within these walls, feel free to break your transformers. It's okay. It's not going to do us any harm if you do anything here. Now, the one piece that's often kind of overlooked in digital transformation is, what does that mean to our pricing models? We've been doing per word, I don't know. How long have we been doing per word for? You have to start to think, it's like, where does new subscription or platform-based, or is there another way for us to generate revenue or speak to our customers with the changing environment of technology to say, is like, because we're doing these processes, your solution is X. Your document, your files, or these types of files are Y, whatever it is. Like, coming up with something that's innovative around pricing models as you're going through your digital transformation process as well. This is a quote from 10 years ago. And now I tried to do some research. It's like, okay, did this happen? Did 40% of businesses die within the 10 years? And the research didn't really show anything, but I did see that a lot of companies that in their specific verticals that didn't adapt with the technologies did fall under. Now, so maybe we're going to look, and I'll change that 15 to a 25, and we'll look 10 years down the road to see where we're at then. But it was just a powerful statement made a decade ago about the importance of digital transformation. So under the leadership and vision side of it is, we're talking about the strategic application of this is clear objectives. These are SMART goals. These are things that could be measured. They're time-based. They could be attainable. You want to be focused in on clear milestones that everyone's committed to, right? Communicate the vision. You can't just be like, digital transformation, we're doing it, and then walk away. You can't do, you need to make sure that everyone is on board and understands what you're trying to accomplish. I mentioned it before, lead by example. Actually be part of the process. Don't just like wash your hands and have other people do it with you, for you. Empowering employees. Ultimately, the companies that are most successful with digital transformation, they trust their employees. They ensure that they have everything they need to be successful. It's not just putting them in a room and say, okay, I'll see you next week and figure it out. You want to empower them, but give them the resources, give them the support that they need to be empowered. Planning, road mapping. I think of a SWOT analysis, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats within your organization. It's just sit down. And sit down as a collaborative group and say, okay, what is the company good at? What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? And then looking out, so those are internal, by the way. Strengths and weaknesses are what we consider internal, right? External are opportunities and threats. Typically, those are things you don't really have a ton of control over, right? You can't, if there's a changing regulation or, someone's just writes a piece of paper that says now English is the default language in the United States, and, there's nothing you can control about something like that, right? All you can do is be aware of it and put it into the frame of context of your organization. Defining the milestones, allocating key resources, monitoring and adjusting. This isn't rocket science. This is really just like plan, do, check, act, right? This is like something that's been done for 60 plus years of you want to commit to a plan, you want to do that plan, and then you have these metrics to say, is it going well, yes or no? And if no, revamp it. And then that continuous improvement, the feedback loops, the innovation labs. Some people do innovation contests. It's something to get the spirit of innovation within your organization. And of course, investing in that learning and development. It's going to be a common theme through pretty much every slide here, I believe. This is one of my favorite quotes of all time. If you think about the amount of people that have an opinion on something that is not backed by data at all. It's just, I believe that this is the case. It creates this environment within your organization of mistrust and perception kind of becomes reality, and you want to avoid that. Data should reflect the reality, or reality should reflect the data. And if you're not capturing these key metrics from the beginning of your journey throughout and to the end, you'll have no idea if you're successful or not. So, some key metrics that I suggest, to each his own, right? But you want to break them down into different categories. So how do you know that digital transformation is being successful? From a customer side, something like CSAT or NPS, figuring out a way to say, hey, are the customers engaged? Are they happy with us? Operational efficiency metrics. One of the things I actually like as a potential metric here is percentage of processes automated. You do your process list, you look to see how automated they are. That's a starting point, right? And that gives you a tangible result of like, great, here's our top processes in our organization, here's where we want to be focusing in on to improve, and focus in and target that way. Financial performance metrics, it's easy to look at, especially for ROI purposes. How much are you putting into your digital transformation journey, and what is the actual gain on those investments? Technology-wise, people-wise, resource-wise, consultant-wise, all that stuff. What are those gains? Employee engagement metrics. Do employee surveys, try to understand the pulse of your organization. That should be done regularly, by the way. Like, you should really be checking in with your staff on a regular basis and keeping that pulse. And make it anonymous. Yes, I know. You want to know who said that, which department is make it anonymous so you can get true data, because ultimately data is going to allow you to fix your organization and improve it. And then innovation metrics. The innovation goals here would be how many innovation projects or how many POCs, the timely delivery of an innovation, time to market. Those are the type of metrics that you might want to look at there as well. So it's daunting, right? It's daunting because it's a major challenge, and it's not going to be easy for you, right? So I feel like the previous presentation kind of said this, right? Like, change is hard. We know that. Like, I'm going to repeat that. Change is hard. So you got to really understand that resistance to change, right? You have to understand the resistance to change and address it head on, right? You have to provide support and training and reassurance, and you have to engage your employees, and you have to communicate transparently, and you gotta remember that it's hard work and it's not magic. Thank you. There was a payoff. Come on, there was a payoff. Yeah.
Work now. Now it works.
Ta-da!
How are you feeling? Inspired? No, yeah.
Tired. It's the second day. Like, you know, it's such a catch-22 of going last on the second day. It's like people are just like, all right, I'm kind of done, you know. So.
Do you have any questions?
Don't ask how I did the trick, by the way. A magician never tells his secrets.
I'm learning all your secrets, Dan. No, I just want a quick comment. I thought your comment about what's driving the resistance is really critical. You know, I worked for a really great CEO when I was at Morningside, but he was tough. And I addressed the issue of fear and behavior, and he just didn't have it. He just didn't want to hear it. You know, to him it was like, get over it. And that's what you said really resonated with me. If you don't understand what it is they fear they're going to lose, you'll never be able to address how they're going to come to that change, you know? In the case, like in my case, when I chose to ditch our homegrown management system and go to Plunet, they were losing that familiarity and this sense of productivity. They knew the system well, they knew all of its foibles and failures, but they knew how to work around it. And here I was coming with this new thing they had to learn that would remove all of those little workarounds and things that they lived with for 10 years. But I had to show them that, I had to prove that to them. And until I could erase that fear, they were going to dig their heels in. So I thought that was a really great takeaway.
Appreciate that. And I mean, I guess I'm going to ask the audience now, what fears are there? I mean, the top one, of course, is I'm not going to have a job. You know, like that is absolutely the top fear that is going on right now. And we've seen it happen. And that's the thing is people feel this, and if you're not engaging them to discuss it with them, oh, it's gonna grow within your organization. And then more people are gonna talk to others like, hey, you know, I'm afraid and no one's talking about this. Address it head on, talk about it, and talk about the changes. And talk about, hey, listen, the current role of, say, like a administrative secretary, like my wife, right? She's a legal secretary. Transcription, listen to audio. AI is now taking over the transcription. So now it's about, okay, now I'm going to be, as an administrative secretary, running it, getting the summaries, getting key points, setting tasks for, you know, or helping set tasks for, you know, the lawyer to be able to do things. It's an evolution of the role. And I think that's what we need to talk about, people, is that, yeah, parts of your job are going to go away, and hopefully it's the really shitty parts that are going away, and we want to balance that out by giving you the skills and the training to be really awesome at this new technology or this new way of doing things so you can succeed in your career and in your life. And so think about those fears, and when you go back to your organizations, like, don't be afraid. Don't have fear of having tough conversations to understand what those are. Anything else? I got no more magic, I'm sorry.
Is this your hat?
It's my hat, yeah. It's a magic hat. It fits in the suitcase too, that's why I got it. You know, it has a really cool, like...
Okay, yeah, thanks, great presentation again. Honestly, it was a little bit hard to follow because since the beginning I was 100% sure you are going to do an actual magic trick, and I was wondering all the time which one is going to be. But there was just one thing. Is it really necessary to back up everything with actual data? I mean, I get the point, because often enough I also try to push ideas and to embrace new things, but I can't back it up with data. And I'm wondering, the guy who invented the car, did he need data to say we need motorized mobility? I'm just afraid that I'm not allowed to speak up anymore because I don't have data. That's why I'm asking.
I think data helps move things faster. And especially at the C level, when you're talking to executives, if you want something to move faster or move at all, you typically need some kind of data to back that up. And often it's financial, often it's ROI, this is going to cost this, it's going to, it's going to produce this. That's typically like the conversation. But if you have data points that you can start to collect or understand things, and even using the car as an example, it's like, how long does it take to get to X, Y, and Z? Let's measure that, right? That becomes a data point that says, if there was this combustible engine, if there's something that can get us to replace the horse, right, to get us there faster, I think that this car can now get us, instead of taking 3 days to get there, it can take us an hour to get there. So in essence, everything does have some kind of data you can kind of extract or understand to back up your thought process. So do you have to measure everything and have data for everything? No. If you want it to move faster, data helps a lot.
Great answer. Thanks.
What's everyone doing? You guys are going home today? Are you staying in Berlin?
I mean, my question, it's related to one of the missing things. I mean, this is everything is clear and whatever, but here we are mainly tech people or, I don't know, project manager, Plunet users, and probably there are also some C-level, but my point is one of the fear that is missing here is that LSP, the average size of LSP is very small and whatever, and the people that probably would need to work more on the fear sometimes are the C-level or the owner, because for LSP, most of the time that's the same. Usually the CEO is the founder and whatever. And how can I convince my boss to give me more money? Actually, that's the point. Because someone said yesterday, it probably was you, Charles, that these feelings that we have not many bullets in our gun to shoot, this is probably the main issue. And maybe the magic would be to know how to overcome this, because this is clear and we have the data. I have a huge list of stuff. I know exactly, everybody probably here, we know where we can gain productivity, where we lose money, and how we can do things better. Sometimes we don't know how to implement that, and we need some tech support, and of course we need the suppliers and that stuff. But, and we can communicate that. But how can we solve this in a moment of time? A lot of people joked about that, but it seems that language industry is the only one that when we gain productivity, we cut the prices instead of making more money, okay? And all of us, maybe we defended our profit. My company is doing pretty well, but if I think about the prices that we got paid, I don't know, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, it's just like, I daydream about being paid the same amount of money that we've been paid, not 50 years ago, 6 years ago. And the cost of technology is increasing, actually. CAD tools and the cloud is amazing, but costs a lot and everything, and makes things much more complicated. So my boss, actually, the owner of my company, probably feel this kind of scare. How can we manage prices that are falling down, technology that costs a lot more, and we hear a lot of inspiring, just like your presentation about the need of more technology while the prices are going even down, to develop new services that we hopefully will be selling for an even lower price. So, I mean, probably we would need some magic here, but what can we do to do this. Probably it's subjective, and I'm not asking how can I manipulate my boss to stop having fear that she could basically lose everything that she's been building her career. She's close to the end of her career, and I see that she can be scared and say, I won't go all in now, okay? But, and because I think that in our industry, this is the pretty common experience. There are many LSP that are on the market, that have been on the market for a long time, and this need for change comes in a moment where, it's even riskier.
Yeah, so again, not an easy thing to answer. There's a couple of things that I can definitely suggest, and the first one is community. You're all in that together. You're all experiencing it together. And if there's going to be a change in a pricing model, it has to come with solidarity. The problem is, like, we see competition as this bad thing, right? It's like, well, I got competitors and they're vying for the same end customers and so forth and so forth. And that is the reality and that's the truth. But they're also your colleagues. And together you can implement changes in the industry. Our pricing models, the way that it's been going, absolutely need to change. And there needs to be a consolidated effort. There needs to be a unified way of saying, hey, based off of what you're asking for, this solution now that incorporates, imagine, some kind of machine translation, some kind of automatic post-editing, some human in the loop, whatever that is, and then your special sauce, because that's where you get your organization can throw in your special sauce, but the ingredients are typically the same. So if you can have a pricing model, and I don't know why I'm still holding this hat, I'm sorry, that everyone can kind of say, hey, here's the future of pricing, then that's one way to combat all of this. The other way is also, you don't want to fall into hype too soon, but you also have to realize that when you start to see your competition doing these things and you're falling behind, you say, okay, at least now there's the first astronaut into outer space. They're going to fail, they're going to learn a lot of things, and then we can trickle down and understand like their failures so you can avoid them as well. So that's again where I feel like the communication and openness about this is really needed. And like Scott's part of like ALC in the States, and smaller companies kind of getting together and talking about some of these topics. And they put papers out, and same thing too is it's this old adage, sometimes you have to spend money to make money too. There's Scott's a great consultant, Nimsy and Joseph, there's a lot of people that see this and experience this and understand these data points across multiple organizations, both on the client side and on the LSP side, and they can help guide and navigate and give you that sounding board to make these changes. Now, I think the first part was saying, how does a project manager or a tech person communicate up that chain to try to push that change as well and get the fear from the C level. What's this guy? You were mentioning that C levels are leaving the industry. There was a presentation that was, I can't remember if it was yours or not. Yeah. There's a lot of C levels that are actually afraid of what's coming and are just bailing from the industry. And that in and of itself is a brand new fear that you have to understand. It's like, all right, change in leadership, change in ownership, and that's a challenge. What everyone can do is also empower themselves. You don't have to wait to be given training and education, and I highly advise every organization to do it, but you don't have to wait for that. You start to build your own skills. You start to demonstrate, your ability to like do these things, and have a POC that you've kind of done. You have something tangible that speaks and resonates with the C level that will absolutely kind of drive them to make the change. Because again, you can have a list of things that you can improve in a company. I've seen it before, and a C-level person or anyone in the organization can just shoot it down. Empowering yourself with the tools and skill sets, and honestly, like I've been using AI to help me craft business proposals and business cases to make changes within I've been using that for a couple years now. It's really helpful. As a first draft to be able to like take all of these things that you're trying to get out, but then communicate them up the chain. I definitely use the tools that you're trying to implement or you're trying to make changes with to your advantage as well. So again, not easy. I hear where you're coming from. Community, I think, is really the big key there that I feel.
I have a comment about what Stefan said about the lack of data. And I heard somewhere that 80% of all statistics are made up, including this one. So just make it up if you don't have it.
So yeah, I've heard 72% of the people that say that 80% of data is, I've heard something similar, but yeah. Listen, I mean, joking aside, collection of data isn't often easy, especially if you're asking humans to be able to be the ones that are inputting the data to be able to analyze. I keep pointing out Scott because I've talking to him so much today, but during one of the breaks, Scott mentions like, it would be great if there was a way to like automate how to categorize a customer in Plunet based off their vertical and create a little profile of them. So I went back to my desk and I was bugging Matthijs a lot, and I built a bird in Blackbird that takes the customer name and through OpenAI analyzes the customer, builds a 3-sentence profile about the customer, their vertical, their key customers, their key end customers, cross-checks it against a category list from Plunet, and then updates Plunet with, here's the information about the customer, here's the category. You took the humans out of it, now the humans can be in the loop to just verify that if you need to, but you can standardize some of your data collection using AI, and then you've got better, cleaner data to make decisions with. So again, think of using these tools to help reduce some of the pain points that you already have of data collection or data cleanliness. That's what they're there for. Some of the best stuff that you can do is to utilize it for that.